Hi there. I'm going to be presenting on functional behavior assessment and functional analysis review. So let's get to know a little bit more about who I am. So my name is Samantha Zoflick, and I am 25 years old, and I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. This is my last semester here at Ball State in the Applied Behavior Analysis Master's Program. I am super proud of myself and the confidence and the knowledge that I have gained throughout this experience. My field placement is local and serves as a special needs ABA preschool called Piece of Our Puzzle LLC. It is comprised of children ages 3 to 5 who all have an autism diagnosis. At my site, we have clinical staff on site, this being BCBAs, my clinical supervisor, our clinical director. It is great to have, definitely for help and assistance and gaining those supervised hours. I have been working here for about 4 years as an RBT, and I love every minute of it. Throughout this experience, I've had the amazing opportunity of being a supervisee to Emily. She is my BCBA. After this program, I would really like to work in a clinic setting as a BCBA. This is super exciting for me. Okay, so now that we know a little bit more about me, let's jump into my background in behavioral assessments. So what exactly is my background in FBAs? Throughout my experience as an RBT at my agency, I have assisted in many FBA processes. I have conducted descriptive and indirect assessments for many clients, some being narrative recording, direct observation, sequence analysis, and pattern analysis. I have also completed varying levels of writing skills, but I do not have any experience yet in functional analysis. Yep. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what constitutes a problem behavior. Problem behavior is also known as target behaviors that are typically not deemed as socially acceptable. Problem behaviors often vary in their severity. We as behavior analysts want to be precise as possible when we are defining and measuring behaviors. Problem behaviors may in fact result from deficits in a child. Some children may be unable to express their needs, and they may feel misunderstood. This was cited by Hago Pion, 2009. There are many reasons why behaviors are occurring, and we know this as the 4 functions of behavior. So in the next slide, we are going to go over each of them just briefly. So the first one we have is social negative reinforcement, also known as escape. This is when the student wants to avoid or escape the task presented at hand. The next one we have is social positive reinforcement, other words known as attention. This student wants attention from peers or adults. The next one we have is tangible reinforcement. The student wants access to something. And then lastly, we have automatic reinforcement, also known as sensory stimulation. This can be positive or negative, and the student engages in this behavior because it feels good to them. Okay, so the next slide we have is problem behavior continued, which I have from an experimental research study. Okay, so now that we know a little bit more about the 4 functions of behavior, I want to touch base on a research study that I found by Livingston, ETAL 2020. So in this study, the researchers replicated the RAT, which is the Rapid Assessment of Attention Types. They implemented this with a 19-year-old female who was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. This individual emits problem behaviors of self-injurious behavior, aggression, and disruptive behavior. In the replication, a gross motor response of going to a specific area of the classroom was demonstrated. The parents also used a discrete alternative behavior of FCR. So in this study, duration data was collected to measure attention, and frequency was used for the problem behavior at hand. The researchers found that the implementation of the rat greatly reduced the participants' problem behavior. In addition, the rat greatly serves as an attention type reinforcer for alternative behavior. So now that we know a little preface of the study, I would like to go over the figures on the graph in the study. So in this one, we see in the top left corner is figure 1. So Livingston et al. 2020 created results that dissipate the functional analysis. In the alone condition, we see that no problem behavior was present. During the staff conducted functional analysis, the research team conducted the results were undifferentiated. In the later half of the functional analysis session, not much responding was present in the demand condition. Next, we see in the tangible condition, responding was pretty high as compared to the play condition. In attention condition, we see high responding. This demonstrates that there is, in fact, an attention function. So following figure 1, we see the next one is figure 2. This illustrates data before and after the rat was implemented. The 19-year-old participant, Sally, had the highest levels when she was in the room with play toys. This was then followed by social disapproval and then praise. So this is a little bit of the study that I found. For our next slide, we're going to talk about what determines when to conduct a functional behavior assessment. So first, let's go over a article called Applied Behavior Strategies. This was created in 2011. So we see how do we conduct a functional behavior assessment? So there are 2 major reasons a FBA should be conducted. There is challenging behavior present, and we are following the special education law. If a child's challenging behavior is causing issues in their learning, the learning of others, or if the behavior is of harm to others, it is vital to conduct an FBA. Following challenging behavior, the special education law requires the implementation of an FBA. During the child's IEP meeting, it is crucial to determine if the behavior is impeding if it's impeding the individual's learning, and if so, an FBA needs to be conducted. Okay, so now we're going to talk about a research study which implemented an FBA with a child. So Ryan et al. 2003 discusses disruptive behavior is sadly a reality for many teachers. Whether this being in a general education classroom or an inclusion classroom, disruption is present. Behaviors of aggression or annoying behaviors disrupt the learning of other students in the classroom. The researchers present a rationale for using an FBA approach to problem solving and a case study. So in the case study, a student named Violet does not complete her work in class. She often falls asleep during class. The team used a functional approach, this being focusing on the classroom conditions, her motivation, etc. Her problem behavior and its magnitude determined the need for an FBA to be conducted. At first step, the team identified the area of concern and when it's most likely to occur. The team then looked at how different factors may influence her off-task behavior. Off-task behavior was measured and was greatly higher than her peers. The head teacher then gathered observation data through direct assessment. The team found her off-task behavior was most likely to be present during seated work. The team found alternative strategies for Violet to best help her in her social setting. So this brings us to figure 2 that I have presented here, the interventions to increase her on-task behavior. So on Violet's table or her desk, she has a visual cue in the left upper hand of her desk that she can ask, I need help. And also the actual intervention was presented of the teacher coming around, presenting her a visual cue that says, keep working. And this data right here demonstrates the effectiveness of that intervention. Okay, so following Ryan ATAL 2003, we're going to hop into identifying what is the difference between an FBA and an FA. So starting with FBAs, according to Cooper, 2019, FBAs enable hypotheses about the relations among specific types of environmental events and behaviors. FBIs are designed to obtain information on the function of behavior. They are also identifying the source of reinforcement to be provided for replacement behaviors. FBAs are broken down into 3 types: functional experimental analysis, descriptive assessment, and indirect assessment. Following FBAs, as cited by Cooper, for functional analysis, the advantage of functional analysis is its ability to yield a clear demonstration of the variable or variables that influence the occurrence of the behavior. FAs follow and allow for valid conclusions concerning the variables that maintain the behavior. So these are broken down into 4 major conditions. The first one being contingent attention, contingent escape, and a lone condition, and a control condition being play. So for our next slide, we're going to talk about my actual experience at my field experience with my supervisors. So I sat with my clinical director, Allison, for insight on if we use FBAs, FAs. So from my prior knowledge, I understood we only ever use FBAs and we don't actually use functional analysis. So Allison was saying, we exclusively use FBAs at our organization. If absolutely necessary, FAs are used, but they are very rare. Allison began to say FBAs are a great in-depth tool to determine why clients are displaying a certain behavior. She also mentioned we use the FAST as one of our main assessors per function. My clinical director ended our discussion saying FAs require a lot of resources and extra time, especially if we already know the clear function. It may not be needed to complete an FA. Okay, so following this slide, I'm going to discuss my conversation with my BCBA, Emily. So she broke down with me her top 5 components that she does to conduct an FBA. Okay, so first she starts off with parent interviews, and she conducts a teacher interview if present. She then makes direct observations. She collects her data, this being ABC data in the classroom setting. She then completes and gives out functional analysis screening tools to the parents to have them fill out on the target behavior. After her scoring forms, she then interprets her results. Lastly, she says she begins her report writing, and I asked her, how long does it take her to complete this entire process? And she said each client is different, but on average, it takes around 8 to 10 hours to complete from start to finish. So this was a little bit more about my program supervisor and my organization's components for an FBA. My last slide is the conclusion. So I'm going to just break down that I feel extremely confident in the assessments that are conducted in my field placement. If anything, I would love to see if there are different steps, different tools that my other classmates organizations use. This would be a pretty cool thing to see. I appreciate having classes where I am able to expand on my knowledge and in the real world implement FBAs. So, in a previous class in this program, I had the opportunity to conduct an FBA on one of my clients. It was a great learning experience, and I had help from my BCBA. As a whole, my coursework greatly resembles what my field experience does and has taught me. If anything, I would say I would like to have experience implementing and conducting functional analysis. As I said before, we don't do this as a company. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up my presentation. Here are my 4 references that I have cited throughout my presentation. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.